Channel 10 was a good thing, and took me over to TV set and said, here's why. Because public television is really for the people. It represents programs that you want.
In 1844, Congress authorized money to build the first telegraph lines from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore. Samuel Morse sent a brief telegraph to a friend about this remarkable new technology. It read, "What hath God wrought?" President Lyndon B. Johnson recounted this historical event when he signed the Public Broadcasting Act of 1967. President Johnson went on to say, "Every one of us should feel the same awe and wonderment here today." Millions of people throughout the country felt the excitement as a network of public broadcasting began being built across the country. Nearly 10 years earlier, in 1958, in response to the Russian satellite Sputnik, Congress enacted the National Defense Education Act, which funded media-based instruction in science, math, and foreign languages, and that really got the ball rolling. Kenny Gwynn was the Clark County School District Assistant Superintendent in the 1960s and credits this act for the starting point of PBS.
I think that was the foundation. It was kind of the basis on which we could say, look, this is a kind of information. These are the kinds of exposures we need our young people to get. And with the tried systems that we had and our past experiences in education, we couldn't do that through the textbooks because they were too obsolete by the time this action was taking place due to a great deal of the Sputnik era.
Following Sputnik and the National Defense Education Act, in 1962, Congress enacted the Educational Broadcasting Facilities Program to fund construction of a national network of educational TV stations. In response, the Clark County School District, with Helen Cannon and Kenny Gwynn leading the way, applied for a license for KLVX Channel 10.
We had a great board of trustees, and they were very, very progressive, and this was the topic of public broadcasting was no exception to them. They could see, I think as visionaries, they could see what it could do for education here in Clark County. There was certainly resistance, and anytime you're going to do something that hasn't been tried and it's kind of new and it's on cutting edge, and it's going to take a lot of effort, the more you can expose those who are not exposed to education, the better off your community is, and it's vital in this community of Clark County that this program is established because we're so spread out. And at the time, we were kind of isolated in the desert without this great technology that we're exposed today with in terms of the internet and cable television and all the channels that you have today. But right there in the middle of that it was this program that we felt was educationally more than anything else. And that's what I think this community needed so much in the 60s and the 70s.
With the district's hard work and dedication, PBS Channel 10 was born. The community celebrated as the station broadcast its first program on the evening of March 25, 1968. At 6 p.m., the station aired Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, followed by The French Chef with host Julia Child. Other programs included a science special called The Beginning of Life. The station signed off at 9 p.m., having begun its life.
It was an exciting day for the station and the community, and it meant a big hurrah for the school district because it was a long time in the coming to get a transmitter site and get the studios, which were at the vocational high school, and to get on the air to deliver programs to the community and then eventually to the students to help educate them. And so even though they weren't on all day, just the fact that they were delivering programming to the Las Vegas community was a giant step forward for the station.
The station was located in the Southern Nevada Vocational Technical Center. The studio was in a converted auto body shop and equipped with monochrome cameras and what was called a film chain. This 900-pound device hooked together 2 film projectors, 2 slide projectors, and 2 TV cameras. Although standard at the time, this equipment and the procedures required to make it work were challenging and required careful attention.
You had to be careful that you didn't get your tie cut in there, and they were dangerous to use, and they broke down all the time. But that was the state of the art.
Thankful for the equipment they had, the staff provided hours of local coverage not available on any other station. Using an RCA remote truck that was often mistaken for a milk truck, Channel 10 covered local sporting events and much more.
We did UNLV football at the old Cashin Field. That was always a lot of fun because our parking power spot was right next to the concession stands, and at the end, when we strike from the chute, we had to get big wet towels and hold around the reels as we pulled in the camera cable so we could wipe all the mustard and ketchup off of the reels and keep them clean.
Those football games wouldn't have gotten to air hadn't it been for public television. And we felt, again, that was part of our mission to do that. We covered the Gaming Commission hearings. We covered the school board meetings with that truck. It was, if you came to the scene, you knew we were there because this truck was very obvious. It was something that you couldn't miss.
Another service provided only by Channel 10 was coverage of the legislature. Hank Tester was one of the original hosts for the show Legislative Weekly.
What we put together was what was very similar to a local newscast, only it was all about the legislature, and had packages, had in-depth interviews, etc. So in 30 minutes, you got a pretty good idea of what happened that week in the legislature. It aired all during the legislative session, which, quite frankly, drew the ire of some of the commercial stations because we were scooping them on stories. We were actually getting some ratings with the product.